Noswaith dda, good evening. We are back here in the host chair, per se, on the NFL Cymru podcast after taking a small hiatus last week because for those of you who watched our last episode, we collabed or we were invited on another podcast called the Huddle UK Pod. So thank you to everyone over there at Huddle UK and especially their host, Phil Marsh, who I know personally because he's a commentator like myself, and we've bonded obviously over the NFL. So it's lovely to be able to collab with him. Thank you so much for the invitation. And I think we had an absolute ball over there. It was really, really nice to be able to collab with another pod and to just speak football in general because we recapped a lot of week one, looking forward to week two, and we're going to do roughly the same here this evening on the NFL pod. So, Gitta, I'm sure you're feeling far better than I am because the Falcons had a brilliant away win at Minnesota on Sunday Night Football. For those of you who were aware, that the Dolphins are 0-2 and probably look like the worst team in football at the moment. And I'm not saying that lightly. And if Canan Anwyl is watching, who is a massive Saints fan, he'd be very, very pleased to hear that. So, get on. Let's start with the recap of week two. Let's start with the Falcons. Let's start with the positives. What a clinical defensive show going into Minnesota. I wouldn't have picked personally the Falcons to win because usually Minnesota have been in the past couple of years under Kevin O'Connell really, really strong at home. But it was a clinical defensive performance, which is not what you usually see from the Falcons, to be fair. It's usually their high-flying offense who wins the game. But to be fair, they ran the ball exceptionally well. I think Bijan ran for over 150. Algier went for over 80 yards, almost 250 yards just on the floor. Penix pretty much didn't need to do much. He was literally just a game, controlling the game. And the defense ultimately won the game for you. And I'm sure you're happy to see as well, Guitar, both of your rookies had sacks, I believe, and another got an interception.
Yes, yeah. I couldn't ask for a better game, to be honest. The only thing I was missing was the extra few touchdowns here and there. Only one touchdown in the game from Tyler Algier. Quick fact about Bijan Robinson, he ran more yards than the whole of the Minnesota Vikings team. So 169 to 167 yards or something like that. But our defensive rookies, they had a baller of a game. They turned up to Minnesota, not the easiest of schedule, especially with how their offense are as well. There's a lot of noise about JJ McCarthy. We'll get to that later. But our rookies, Xavier Watts, James Pierce, they turned up. They did what they had to do. And our offense as well, Michael Penix and Kyle Pitts, I thought they had a very terrific game as well. Bijan and Tyler Algier with the touchdown, obviously, they had a terrific game. Drake London had a few good catches here and there. So, honestly, David, I could not have asked for a better game. And it was just exactly what we needed after the week one loss. We had to bounce back. We had to do it in difficult conditions, you have to win in difficult places, and winning in Minnesota isn't easy. So I could not have asked for a better game on that one. So we're confident heading into week three. We've got the Panthers, so I'm really looking forward to that one. The only thing, which we'll get to it later on as well in more depth, that we have a offensive player who is questionable to play, but we'll get to that once we reach week three. But very, very good win on that one.
A really impressive show, especially on defense there for the Falcons. And like I said, it's a notable win, another NFC opponent. So if it does come down to tiebreakers at the end of the season, who gets potentially into a wild card place, or even if you win the division, you never know. That might come in really, really handy. Okay, let's talk about the Vikings and let's talk about JJ McCarthy because, like you said, I think we talked with Phil Marsh last week on the Huddle UK pod that somehow JJ McCarthy won Offensive Player of the Week on the NFC side, even though he basically only played really well for a quarter and a half. And
Yeah.
I didn't watch the game. I'm not sure if you did, but apparently, from what I heard, he looked really, really dodgy. He missed a lot of throws, didn't look comfortable in the pocket, and ultimately, I thought Minnesota used to be a high flying offense, especially when they
Mm.
had Kirk Cousins and and Justin Jefferson and all amazing wide receivers. They kind of looked a little bit stagnant and off the pace for me, kind of out of sync as well. How did you find the Minnesota offense in general?
Yeah, it's something that didn't click for some reason. I can't put my finger. A lot of people are putting the finger on the quarterback, JJ McCarthy.
Mm,
Obviously, it's his first full season, and well, I say full season. He's already injured, isn't he? So he
yeah.
will not be playing week 3. It's questionable for how long he will be out for. He obviously missed his first full season, so there's a lot of questions already. Is he a bust, or does he need a few more weeks to prove that he is good enough? A lot
Mm.
of Vikings fans, from what I see on social media, are already doubting him and hoping to get someone else. So it looks like Carson Wentz will be the quarterback for Week 3 against the Bengals,
Wow.
which we will get to as well, who also have another quarterback dilemma over there. Um, when you have a team with Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson at tight end, how can he not click? It's, you know, Justin Jefferson, one of the best, if not the best wide receiver in the league. TJ Hawkinson, top 10, top 5 tight end, maybe. You never know.
Definitely
Um,
top 10. Definitely, yeah.
yeah, yeah. So you've got absolute weapons in that team. Um, maybe our defense just turned up on that game and they did
Yeah.
the work. It might be a completely different story in week 3, so who knows?
Mm.
But yeah, a lot of questions going on about JJ McCarthy at the moment. Is he a bust, or will he end up being good enough with a few more weeks under his belt?
Yeah, and I mean, how much is there going to be a drop off from JJ
Hmm.
McCarthy to the backup Carson Wentz as well,
Yeah,
who was
yeah,
in Kansas City last year? I think he played in week 17, didn't he? When the Chiefs had already won the division and they
yeah,
got absolutely destroyed. They got blown out by the Broncos, who had to win in order to get a wild card place to get into the playoffs. That's fair enough.
yeah,
But
yeah.
from what I remember, he looked absolutely terrible in that last game for the Chiefs. Is there a scenario out there? I think I heard this, but I can't remember if it was on an NFL podcast or one of the insiders was saying this. Can you imagine if the Vikings, if it doesn't go well with Carson Wentz, because I think JJ McCarthy is potentially going to be out at least 2 or 3 games.
It's
Is there a
weeks. Yeah,
scenario where
weeks.
you can see um, the Vikings bringing back Kirk Cousins?
um, y- maybe I don't know. It
Mm,
depends what would the Falcons want to take for Kirk Cousins if it's a trade.
hmm.
Would Kirk Cousins want to go back to Minnesota? He probably
Yeah,
would, maybe.
yeah, maybe.
Um, I think a lot of teams with a questionable quarterback position will take Kirk Cousins any day. Um, I don't think the
Hmm.
Falcons will let him go that easy, purely because he is our backup to Michael Penix
Yeah,
Jr. We don't have that excellent backup to Michael Penix apart from so. I don't think the Falcons will let him go that easy. If you would have
yeah.
asked me before preseason, I think they would have wanted to get it done around then. I don't see the
Mhm.
Falcons want to get rid of him as of now. Anyway, especially with no
Yeah,
one else particularly on the market that could fill his shoes, even just as a backup. I don't think there is
yeah.
a notable name up there at the moment for the
Mm.
Falcons if they do decide to let him go.
Well, talking of questionable quarterbacks, you
Hmm,
know where I'm going with this, unfortunately.
I
So
believe
the
so.
Falcons are 1-1. The Dolphins are 0-2. Shock horror. So we lost our home opener against the
Yeah.
Patriots, a divisional rival. The Patriots hadn't won in Miami for 5 or 6 years, and Tua
You're
had
just
never
breaking up
lost
for
to
us
the
at the moment, Dylan.
Patriots.
You're just breaking records
Literally,
now, aren't you?
it's I'm really, really worried that it's going to be the season where everything goes wrong for the
Hmm.
Dolphins. It happens to a number of teams during an NFL season, and I'm worried that things are just going to snowball for the Dolphins. And what we're taping this less than 3 hours
Yeah.
from when the Dolphins travel up to Buffalo, Highmark Stadium, to play Thursday night football. Potentially going to go 0-3 against Josh Allen. The Bills are 2-0. They've scored 80 points over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
They comfortable win 30-10 against the Jets. Obviously, they scored 41 points in order to beat the Baltimore Ravens. Okay, they gave up 40 points as well, but let's be honest, who's not going to give up 40 points against the Ravens this year?
Yeah.
Their offense looks absolutely on fire at the moment. Even
Yeah.
though Derrick Henry isn't actually, ironically, running the ball that well, and he lost a fumble in week 1 as well. But anyway, we'll get back to that. So yeah, I'm not going to rant here about the Dolphins. Literally, there's probably a 0.5% chance that they're going to win this evening. Although Josh Allen did apparently, well, he didn't break his nose. He kind of like his nose got kind of dislocated in last week's game against the Jets. I'm not sure if you saw that. He kind of he ran into his own lineman, and I think, and his nose got dislodged, and then obviously
Yes.
blood was going everywhere. He had to run
Yes.
off the
Yes.
field. He was only off the field for 2 plays, and then he
Hmm.
was back in the game. So I think he's going to be fine, and I think he's
Yeah.
practiced throughout. Notable injuries for the Bills: no Matt Milano, no Ed Oliver. So that's potentially going to help the Dolphins in a way. If the
Yeah.
Dolphins are going to even keep this close, Gitter, they're going to have to run the ball. The
Yeah.
only positive that's come out of the season for the Dolphins so far in the opening 2 games is our star running back, Devon Achan, which I have picked on my fantasy.
Hmm.
He is an absolute baller. He had 125, 130 yards combined last week against the Patriots. And in a game that the Dolphins should have won, the game was there for them. They had 2 drives in the fourth quarter. But unfortunately, institutional problems, such as they had 5 penalties in the last 2 drives, including false starts, offsides, holding calls, delay of game, which in year 4 under Mike McDaniel, a lot of Dolphins, supporters like me are saying this should not happen.
Yeah.
So this is why Mike McDaniel, unfortunately, is on the hot seat. I don't think if the Dolphins will lose this evening that he'll lose their job. However, week 4, the Dolphins play at home against the Jets,
Yes.
another divisional opponent. If they go 0-4,
There will be
I
questions.
genuinely don't know if he survives 0-4, if I'm honest with you. It's going to be
No.
sad because I think ultimately McDaniel is a very, very talented coach.
Hmm.
I think he's been let down massively by our GM, Chris Greer, over the last couple of years, who's been in the job since 2018. His lack of roster building ability has weakened the Dolphins. We have no depth, and he hasn't drafted well. If you don't do that, you're not going to succeed in the NFL.
Yeah.
So Thursday night football, Dolphins at Buffalo Bills, coming up at 1:15 in the morning here in the UK or in Wales. So obviously I'm going to stay up. If it's going to be a blowout, Gito, I will be turning that off immediately because I've got
Yeah.
better things to do, unfortunately. But I'm going into the game. I can't say that I'm going in hopeful, but I could see there's a clear scenario where the Dolphins could be 0-3 by tomorrow morning. Anyway, let's recap the rest of or some of the week 2 games that stood out for you. Shall we start off with an absolutely crazy game between the
Hmm.
Cowboys and the Giants?
Yes. Absolutely. Um, we're only 2 weeks in, and we already have two contenders for game of the season. Obviously, week 1, the Bills and Ravens. The Giants and Cowboys
Mm.
blew everyone off the park, especially even with the Giants losing, which I think they should have won the game, but their star wide receiver is an unbelievable player. We're both a massive fan of him. What's his name? Malik Neighbors. Oh,
Malik
he is
Neighbors.
he is
Oh, what a
sensational.
baller.
What? He scored 2 touchdowns, 167 yards, and 9 catches. His last touchdown, there was two defensive players around him. One had a hand in his face in his mask, and he still somehow managed to catch a 50, 60-yarder throw from Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson, Super Bowl Wilson, turned up in that game. I even made a prediction before the game that it'll be 4 to 6 weeks until we see Jackson Dart. We did see Jackson Dart play 1 or 2 drives, which was completely random. Why he decided to play him and then put Russell Wilson back in there, but that game was unbelievable. And yeah, I think the Giants they've got the Chiefs this weekend. Now,
yes, they do. Yes,
obviously the Chiefs are 0-2. I read a tweet just before this episode saying the Giants have nothing to lose. If the Chiefs lose, that's the end of the dynasty. Do you agree with that?
No, I'm sorry.
No.
I think that's being blown a little bit out of proportion.
Mm.
It's a crazy stat, Gito. Before the Chiefs lost to the Eagles on Sunday, Patrick Mahomes had never lost 3 games in a row. Well,
No.
in the NFL, since his college days at Texas Tech, which is absolutely incredible stat. In what he's been, it was 6 years, 7 years. He's never lost 3 games in a row, which is something that I don't know, an NFL franchise would absolutely dream about. But I don't think the dynasty is over. Look, they're he's without their top 2 wide receivers, and they still, I think the Chiefs could have easily won that game if Travis Kelce literally turns his head half a second earlier. He catches that ball, they score a touchdown with 5 or 6 minutes left of the fourth quarter. Okay, fair enough. Maybe the Eagles do march down the field and kick a field goal to win the game or a touchdown to win the game. However, I know we're going off the Cowboys. I will come back to the Cowboys-Giants game, but Jalen Hurts only threw for 100 yards during that game. They didn't run the ball extremely well, obviously, and I thought Mahomes at times was absolutely incredible. I had Patrick Mahomes 2020 Chiefs versus Texans playoff vibes where he was running all over the place, and what Mahomes can do with his legs is so underrated. That's an example of a quarterback putting his team on his back and saying, I've got you. Although they lost, and I think we can easily say, Guitar, that an 0-2 Chiefs is drastically different to an 0-2 Dolphins. Drastically different. So when eventually they will get Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice back, I still think that they're going to make a run to the playoffs. And I know the Chargers are 2-0 at the moment. The Broncos don't look great at the moment. I thought that they looked better, especially their defense. They lost to the Colts as well. And I particularly think I didn't think the Eagles looked particularly well as well. In the first 2 weeks, if I'm honest with you, they look a little bit stagnant. AJ Brown doesn't look like himself. He looks a little bit slow. Okay, Devontae Smith caught a moon ball, but he wasn't really that obvious as well. And Saquon never really got going against the Chiefs. However, just coming back quickly to the Giants game, I've heard a lot of people saying, and I think I agree, that was potentially one of Russell Wilson's best games of his career. Because I think he threw for almost 400 yards, wasn't it? Which was absolutely incredible. And the other point is just before I finish, sorry, it was, I thought both offenses looked very, very good. Malik Neighbors is an absolute star in the making. I think we've said this for a long time on the pod. However, I thought George Pickens looked very, very good in the Cowboys offense as well. So I think him and CeeDee Lamb are really, really going to do some damage this year with the Cowboys. Look out for them. But yeah, absolutely crazy game. How did they manage to kick a last-minute field goal? The Cowboys to like I said, if you're a Giants player, if you're Brian Daboll, they've literally done everything in that game but win the game.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that, and you took my words out of my mouth as well. And just to go back to Russell Wilson,
Mm.
probably his best game of his career, probably the best game since he won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, yeah,
So, Super Bowl Wilson did turn up in that game. Malik Neighbors, he's definitely the future face
mm.
of the wide receiver in the NFL, I
Yeah,
believe. That's why we picked him as our player of the week. Even though we don't not necessarily pick players when they lose a game, but we couldn't ignore what
no,
Malik Neighbors did in that game.
mm.
Unbelievable.
Mm.
Um, I think the Cowboys will be okay.
Yeah,
They've shown a lot from the first two games, even though they
yeah,
are 1-1. I don't remember off the top of my head who they'll be playing this weekend, but I see them having a decent run. They could definitely push for playoffs. I will not be surprised if we see three teams from the NFC East make the
yeah,
playoffs with the Eagles, the Commanders, and the Cowboys.
mm.
Giants, if they played the way they did, like that, obviously they're going to play the same way they did every week, but they did show a lot of heart in that game. So, and with Malik Neighbors, and even to see Jackson Dart as well. I would be somewhat positive for the next few years.
Mm.
Maybe it'll take 3 or 4 seasons before they can say they can push for the playoffs or be better. But it might be take a few years. But with the right rookies, with the right players, I think they'll be fine.
Another good note, just to finish with the Cowboys Giants game. Another note that it's rather noteworthy as well, Guitar, is how good that D line looked for the Giants
Mm.
with uh, Brian Burns uh, and some of their best pass rushers. Dexter Lawrence as a DT and a nose tackle as well. I thought they looked absolutely fantastic, and ultimately they got after the quarterback is potentially, I think we said, one of the best. Defensive linemen in the NFL. I think they're
Yeah,
very talented there, and they've
yeah,
got Kayvon Thibodeau was the other one as well. Is the other pass rusher that they've got. So yeah, the Giants have got some really nice pieces. Like
mm,
you said, how long is it going to take them? How long is it going to take them to transition into Jackson Dart as well? Malik Neighbors is an absolute baller. So yeah, I think the Giants have got the players in place. Whether it's going to be Dable or is it going to be someone else, that's a
mm,
different question.
yeah,
Um, Get up before we move on to get to week three. Shall we cover uh, well a massive injury that is
mm,
going to change the dynamic of the AFC North and potentially the AFC as well.
yeah.
Obviously, we're talking about star quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals, Joe Burrow.
Yeah, absolutely gutting for the Bengals. It'll be 3 months. I would be surprised if it's a whole season.
Yeah,
If I'm being
probably.
completely honest with you. I was looking at the Bengals schedule. They did end up winning against the Jaguars on the weekend, even
Yeah.
after Joe Burrow went off. But I was looking at the schedule up to December as to when we might see Joe Burrow come back. I'm going to run it through with you quickly.
Mm,
So obviously they've got the Vikings this weekend. Obviously they've got a quarterback problem with JJ McCarthy. And then I'm just going to run this next few fixtures really quickly.
mm.
The Broncos, Lions, Packers, Steelers, the Jets, the Bears, Steelers, Patriots, Ravens, and then the two games in December, the Bills and the Ravens. Without their star quarterback, it doesn't
I
look.
I
How many
mean,
wins do you see them having?
well, I was going to say so they're 2-0 at the moment.
Yeah,
With Jake Browning as their starting QB now. Obviously, they've still got Chase and they've still got Higgins as well. So
yeah,
they're still going to throw the ball around. However,
mm,
realistically, I see in those games 3 or 4 max.
yeah.
I can see them beat. I can see them beating the Jets and the Patriots,
The Bears.
the Bears potentially.
Yeah. They've got two
Uh,
games against the Steelers, but then there's that run three games: Ravens, Bills, and Ravens again.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and I
Even
don't see them beating the
Broncos.
Lions either.
Yeah,
So yeah, no,
yeah,
that's a brutal schedule to be fair. Brutal
yeah,
schedule.
yeah.
Um, However, Guitar, we talked about it last week on the pod with the Huddle UK. We said the most infuriating thing about the Cincinnati Bengals, they don't invest in their defense, and ultimately they don't invest in their O-line. Okay,
Yeah.
it might be a freaking accident what happened to him. It's a turf toe injury, by the way, we must say, which is basically he's torn a ligament that connects his toe, basically. It sounds harmless, turf toe, really, but it's actually quite a painful injury,
Yeah.
apparently. So I think
He requires surgery, doesn't
he's
he?
about
Yeah.
to have surgery in the next couple of
Yeah.
days. And like you said, it's going to be a minimum of 3 months, depending on their schedule, depending on their win column, Gito. If they have no chance of getting into the playoffs, might as well shut them down for the season.
Yeah. 100%. So the last three games they've got the Dolphins, the Cardinals, and the Browns. So if they don't still have a chance of making the playoffs before those three games, I don't see him playing again for the rest of the season. I don't.
No.
It's a big loss. I've always said that I think having the Bengals in the playoffs makes the playoffs that little bit better, especially on the AFC side, just for the way they are. I like Joe Burrow, the weapons that they've got. So if you're a Bengals fan, you'll get it, aren't you? You've lost one of the best players, not in the team, but one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So potentially for the season. So it's very, very disappointing what's happened to him.
But ultimately, Gito, we have to put this into context, because this is probably, what is this? This is the third season that Joe Burrow has suffered a significant injury, if not a
Yes.
season-ending injury.
Yeah.
He's only been in the league for six years. And
Mm.
obviously he's an upper echelon quarterback. He's a top five, top three quarterback, depends how you feel about him. But he's definitely a top five quarterback. He's a franchise quarterback.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And again, the Cincinnati Bengals refuse to pay the O-line.
Mm.
How long, realistically, is Burrow going to stay there and going to take this beating? Because a
Mm.
lot of people are going to turn around and say, well, either he's turning into an injury-prone quarterback, because obviously I'm a Dolphins fan. I've been dealing with an injury-prone quarterback for the last 6 years in Tua Tagovailoa with his concussions and all sorts. However, Joe Burrow has been injured probably as many, if not more, games than Tua over the last 6 years since he's been in the league.
Yeah.
So, is his patience ultimately going to run out, and is he going to be traded? I know they've just paid their star wide receivers in Chase and Higgins, and I know that he's one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, but I don't know. What do you think? Like, I don't know. I don't know with where this leaves him now. I mean, I don't know. It's kind of a tricky situation.
Yeah. I was just looking up. He signed a 5-year contract back in 2023.
Mm,
So he has five remaining years on his contract through to 2029. Do we
mm.
see him stay with the Bengals for where are we? For another four seasons?
It probably depends on the contract, if I'm honest with you. We'd have to probably see when if there's an out in the contract, and
Yeah.
if his contract is tradable at all.
Mm. And he's
And
yeah.
ultimately, how much dead cap are the Bengals going to have to take if that would happen as well, which is going to be pretty
Yeah.
significant if it's a quarterback as well.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in Dolphins land have been saying, when are we going to move on from Tua? We can't do that because there's a massive dead cap of probably 70 or 80 million, which is huge. But then again, the
Mm.
Broncos did it last year with Russell Wilson, and it's turned
Yeah.
out pretty well for them. So it is doable. But I think, I don't know. I ultimately, I'm not sure if I see it happening. I see Burrow staying with Cincinnati, but I think we have to bring up the question, because this is starting to become a habit. Um, and obviously, when they're firing on all cylinders, like you said, they're one of the best offenses in the league, with hands
Mm.
down.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see how they do. Ultimately, they're going to have to. They're going to try. Well, I mean, with Jake Browning, they're cute. Where once was backup QB, now QB1, he's going to have to somehow find a way of either keeping them 500 for the rest of the season, and like you said, if they're within 2 or 3 games of the playoffs, potentially Burrow will come back in December.
Yeah.
We'll just have to
Mhm.
wait and see. Gito, anything else on week 2 before we move on to the beginning of week 3?
Um, I did have something in mind. How good does Green Bay look?
Yeah, yeah,
How
they do
good?
look good, don't they?
They are fantastic.
Mm,
They're, a s- they're one word I'll describe them is solid. They're a solid team. They
mm.
There's hardly a foot wrong, especially this season. Anyway, they haven't put a foot wrong, really, have they? Um,
No, no,
they're, they're looking
no.
really good, in my opinion. They're
I
one of my favorite team to watch at this moment.
Yes. Well, it'll be interesting to see how the Jalen Reed injury affects them, because he's I think he dislocated his shoulder, so he's going to be out for a significant amount. I think we talked about this with Phil Marshall last week. I think it's going to be between 6 and 8 weeks. The only thing
Mm,
that I'll say about the Packers, Guitar, is ultimately they've played 2 games at Lambeau and they've balled out. They've been especially dominant
mm,
on both sides of the ball, especially defense. However, they're only playing one home game in the next 6 weeks, I believe,
mm,
and they're going to be coming up against solid, if not really, really good teams. And I'm just curious to see, maybe they'll remain, or I don't know. I'd like to see how they cope in different environments, and how they cope on the road. But yeah, so far they're able to run
yeah.
the ball. Jordan Love has a lot of time in the pocket to throw to whoever he wants,
Mm,
and the defense looks extremely handy, and we haven't seen the best of Micah Parsons yet. So yeah,
mm,
it's kind of a scary thought to see the Packers this good at the moment.
yeah.
But Guitar, I don't see them being able to sustain this for the rest of the season. Just something in me tells me that maybe they're going to peak too early.
Mm, interesting. Yeah, yeah. I'm just looking at the next fixtures. Week 4, Monday Night Football against the Cowboys. Micah Parsons obviously going from the Cowboys,
Yeah.
so that'll be a very interesting game. They've got Cleveland this weekend, away. So, and then they've obviously got Bengals, Cardinals, Eagles in November. So they do have some tough schedule coming on.
But
Um,
that's a pretty soft schedule up to the Eagles, though. Really, I mean,
yeah,
okay, at Cowboys is kind of tricky.
mm,
Cardinals, I mean, you'd think they should beat the Browns as well, so they could
yeah.
potentially go in and win. I don't know, four
They could
potentially
end up
five
being
games.
Yeah, they could end up being 6-1,
Yeah,
5-1, 6-1. Yeah,
yeah.
so eh, I'll definitely be keeping a close eye on them. I'm looking forward to
Mm,
seeing how they get on because so far I've been very excited about them so far.
yeah,
They're solid too. I love watching them so far.
cool. Shall we go to our 5 of the week, 5 games of the week that we're looking forward to in week 3? We've already talked about Thursday night football, Dolphins at Bills, obviously.
Yeah.
Which matchup excites you the most for week 3, Guitar?
We have a heavyweight bout between the Baltimore Ravens and the Detroit Lions.
Oof,
Detroit
tasty.
Lions 1-1. They demolished the Chicago Bears. Uh,
Yeah.
let's be honest.
On
The Ravens.
Ben Johnson's return to Detroit.
Yes.
Massive
Wasn't a friendly
smackdown.
return. Was not a friendly return.
No.
The Baltimore Ravens also 1-1. They only just about lost to the Buffalo Bills, but
Mm,
they obviously they got the same story. They destroyed the Cleveland Browns.
yeah.
I've got the Ravens picking up a win here against the Detroit Lions. They're playing in Baltimore.
Mm,
Um, the Lions, they showed a little bit of concern when they lost to Green Bay week 1. Obviously, week 2, it was a bit of a blowout.
yeah.
I just, I don't see them getting a win here against Baltimore. The way, especially with the Baltimore defense, I
Mm.
think Baltimore's going to win this one. So that's why I've got Baltimore as one of my 5 of the week.
Yeah, Baltimore's shown us over the last
Yeah,
2 games that they can, if the running game doesn't work for them,
yeah,
like what happened against Cleveland on Sunday,
yeah,
they can throw the ball as well. Because I think
yeah,
I think Zay Flowers had all well, I think he had almost 150 yards against the
mm,
Browns.
yeah,
Lamar can obviously he's the best at using his legs to create something out of nothing outside the pocket. They do design runs like Josh Allen do, like the Buffalo Bills with Josh Allen do as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, if the Lions somehow can stop the run again and stop Derrick Henry, because like I said, he hasn't been firing on all cylinders so far. But like I said, he hasn't need to. He hasn't needed to yet because the Baltimore offense has been so. Like I said, 80 points in 2 weeks is absolutely ridiculous, and the fact that they scored 40 points and lost the game, which is even crazier. So
Yeah.
if Detroit somehow can stop the run, I think maybe that they've got a chance. After see, okay, I think Chicago are a poor team. They really,
Yes.
really don't look great at all.
Bring on
And I
Tyson
love.
Bagent.
Do you know what? Do you know what? If things carry on like this,
You might have
Caleb
to.
Williams is looking worse and worse with every week, more and more nervous in the pocket,
Yeah.
not very accurate as well. So honestly, give it another couple of weeks, and you'll definitely be hearing more shouts for a quarterback change. I wouldn't be
Yeah.
surprised, and that would be
Yeah.
awesome as well because he's our
Yeah.
boy, as you probably know
Exactly.
on the pod. So yeah, if Detroit can, if they can stop the run, if they can connect, Jared Goff 5 touchdowns. Amon Ra had an incredible game. Excellent for my fantasy, by the way, because unfortunately I drafted Joe Burrow as my QB, so I'm going to have to change that immediately anyway. There is a scenario I see Detroit keeping it close, but ultimately I'm with you. I think Baltimore will win. Another matchup, Gito, that I'm looking forward to, Rams Eagles.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
We've got two heavyweight games, two
Yeah,
heavyweight matches this weekend. This one's going to be an absolute good one. This is going to be a good
yeah.
one.
I personally, Gito, I have the Rams winning in this one. Don't know
Mm.
about you.
It could go either way, but I am absolutely happy to put the Rams in our 5 of the week. I'm not against it. This one's going to be a tasty affair. Um, they've got obviously Devontae Adams and what's the other wide receiver? The young
Puka
wide receiver
Nacua.
from Puka Nacua. Both doing really well at the moment, I think. Matthew Stafford looks good.
Yeah.
There was some doubts before
Mm.
week one if he was going to be fit enough, but I think he looks good. I think he does look good. Obviously, we spoke about Eagles earlier against the Chiefs, but yeah, I'm happy to put the Rams in there as one of our 5 of the weeks.
If I'm honest with you, it's less about the Rams and it's more about the Eagles for me.
Yeah,
They don't look convincing at the moment, especially on
no,
offense. I don't know what it is.
yeah,
Okay, they've been able to. Okay, they went off in week one in terms of in terms of running the ball, but against the Chiefs, they just. I don't know. I think Jalen Hurts looked really, really nervous against the blitz. Obviously,
mm,
Steve Spagnuolo, Chiefs DC, he blitzed the heck out of the Eagles, and um, I don't know. I just thought that they were able to shut them down, and ultimately the Chiefs, without their top two wide receivers, were able to score 17 points against the Eagles as well. Okay, maybe it's not a lot, but I don't know. I think this is this a home game for. I can't remember. Is this at Philadelphia?
couldn't remember off the top
I
of my
think it
head. I'm going to
is.
have
I
to be
think
close.
it's at Philly.
Yeah.
If it's at Philly, I'd be more inclined
Um,
to say that the Eagles would win. But ultimately, this is a rematch of the divisional game, and during last year's season, and I thought the Rams. I thought they were absolutely fantastic,
yeah,
especially Matthew Stafford. He was
yeah,
phenomenal against the Eagles that day, and well, obviously you can say that they've got a better wide receiver room now, like you said with Devontae and Puka Nacua as well.
yeah,
Their defense looks
yeah.
really good. Kyron Wilson looks really really handy running the ball as well. So I'm going to stick to my guns. I genuinely think that the Rams have a really good opportunity of winning
Me too.
against
And the
of
Rams.
going into the yeah.
Yeah, sorry, pardon me. Sorry to
That's right.
interrupt you there. But yeah, I agree. And the Rams are also playing at home, so they've
Okay,
got a home
okay, there
advantage.
we
So
are.
there we go. Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy with that one. Going into the next one, probably one of the most surprising teams of the season so far. The Indianapolis Colts are 2-0. Obviously,
Absolutely.
the first game against the Dolphins. We'll move away from that one. But
Well, actually, Guitar, just before you do, it makes me feel a little bit better as a Dolphins fan because clearly the Colts are,
just that
like you
good.
said, an underrated team.
Yeah, they've got Indiana Jones as their quarterback. So I think
Nice,
that's which is the perfect nickname, I
nice,
believe.
nice.
So they've got the Titans. They're 0-2. Cam
Mm.
Ward showed a little bit of flashes
Did you
during week
see his
two.
first touchdown though?
Yes,
Oh,
unbelievable.
throw
For a
for
rookie,
me.
to do that is
That for
crazy.
me, hands down. That was the best throw of the week by far.
Yes, yeah, that one and Russell Wilson's throw to
To neighbours,
Malik Neighbours.
yeah.
Yes, but that Cam Ward, you have to go
Oof.
back and watch it. And unbelievable for a rookie to do that, crazy. But I see the Colts. I see them keep on riding on with the wave. I see them going 3-0 in this one. Indiana Jones, he's proving a lot of people wrong at the moment, which
Yeah.
you know it's good to see. It's good to see that.
My only question is, Guitar, is it Daniel Jones or is it the scheme that Shane Steichen has got with the Indianapolis Colts? Because
Yeah,
they're running the ball very, very effectively. Jonathan Taylor is having a heck of a season. He went over
yeah,
150 yards last game against the Broncos. And the Broncos, Guitar, were supposed to be one of the best defenses in the league. But
yes,
they got carved up against the Colts and ultimately lost to a last minute field goal. Um, Listen, Daniel Jones is not doing anything spectacular at the moment. But the thing is, like I said, the scheme is potentially quarterback friendly, and he hasn't been asked to do any difficult throws at the moment because ultimately he's got a brilliant offensive line in front of him. They are literally like a stone wall in front of him, giving him plenty of time to run outside the numbers to throw or hand it over to Jonathan Taylor, who's been absolutely lights out so far during the first 2 weeks. So yeah, like I see, I see a comfortable win for the Colts here, going 3-0, which is very surprising. I
yeah,
wouldn't have said that the Colts would be 3-0 and one of the underrated teams in the NFL, but there's always a surprise in the early
yeah,
stages.
yeah.
Um,
I agree. I
so
agree.
we'll have to look out for the Colts. What are the other two games that we've got?
So the other two games we've got the Broncos against the Chargers and the Steelers against the Patriots.
Nice.
I'll let you talk about Broncos and Chargers because I wanted to ask you last week, since you mentioned it in week one, the Chargers didn't excite you, and after
Mm.
they'd beaten uh, the Chiefs and they are now 2-0, do
Mm.
they excite you now, David?
Um, well, obviously, I had to on the Hubble UK pod last week. You asked me this, and obviously, Phil Marsh is a Chargers fan, and I had to
Yes.
say
Yeah.
yes, obviously, because we were the guests, we weren't the hosts. However, look, offensively, they're looking pretty smart at the moment, aren't they? Even
Mhm.
without, I think I said even without Rashawn Slater, they look at that O line is giving Justin Herbert plenty of time to throw, and obviously he's got a cannon of an arm. And
Yeah.
I think I'm the most impressive thing for me with the Chargers are their wide receiver room.
Mm.
McConkey and who's there? The one Quentin, not Quentin Nelson. I can't remember his name, but anyway, you look it up quickly. But obviously you've seen Herbert go down the field against the Chiefs. You've even saw him running the ball as well.
Mm. Mm.
And their defense looked really, really solid. Um, I look, I don't think that the Raiders' defense were exceptionally good in round two in week two, so it was a rather comfortable victory then. Gito, that's all I'm going to say is come back to me. Obviously, I know they play the Chiefs in week one, but come back to
Mm.
me when they play a serious defense. And hopefully, I was going to say Broncos, like I said, were supposed to be a serious defense.
Yeah.
If they do come out of Denver 3-0, I'll allow it. And I'll say, okay,
Yeah.
maybe the Chargers are onto something here.
Yeah. No, I could see this one go either way, but I'm happy to put the Broncos as the
Mm,
winners in this one.
mm,
their defense has to click one way or another, and I think this is a perfect opportunity for them to do it.
Yeah,
I've got the Broncos defense in my fantasy, so I'm
that's right.
hoping that they do it.
Yeah,
So, but yeah, I'm happy to put the Broncos on there. But I do see it go either way, and if the Chargers do end up going 3-0, we have to talk about them being
yeah. You have to
one
consider them.
of
Yeah.
the teams maybe for the playoffs. So
Well, yeah,
yeah,
especially with the Chiefs being 0-2 as well, because that
yeah,
could be a 5-game swing already in the
exactly,
division. So
exactly. Yeah,
the only thing I'll say about the Broncos quickly, Guitar, is Bo
mm.
Nix isn't quite clicking so far, is he? With
No,
his wide receivers.
and I don't
They
know why. I can't put a finger on it as to why
mm,
it's nothing. So I don't know why it is. You mentioned the wide receiver for the Chargers, Quentin Johnson. There we go.
Quentin Johnson, thank you. I know it was
There
a
we go.
Quentin something, but there we are, Quentin
Yeah,
Johnson.
they've
Cool.
also got Keenan Allen as a wide receiver as well
Yes, yes.
from
The
Falcon, I think.
veteran, the veteran. He went to Chicago for 1 year. Now he's back with the Chargers.
Mm.
Yeah, I'd say a borderline Hall of Famer, potentially one of the best slot receivers of the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Cool. So let's finish then
Cool.
with Steelers Patriots.
Steelers Patriots.
Even the Patriots won. The Patriots won against the Dolphins. However, I have to say, at times they looked, and in week 1 against the Raiders, at times they looked a really, really, really poor team. And that's
Mm.
coming from a Dolphin supporter as well. However, the one thing I will say about the Patriots, Drake May didn't play well in week 1. He played very, very well against the Dolphins. He no turnovers. He looked very comfortable in the pocket. He was sliding up when the Dolphins were bringing pressure. Some really, really nice throws to Ramondre Stevenson, their running back, who had a 50, 60-yard reception, which is absolutely crazy.
Mm.
And I was very impressed with him. Less so about the
Yeah.
defense, but I mean, I don't know about you. I don't see them beating the Steelers. Do you?
No, I've got the Steelers winning this one as well. I really
Mm,
do. Yeah, Patriots are 1-1.
mm.
For some people, maybe surprisingly.
Yeah.
Um, the Dolphins could have won that one, couldn't they? I
Oh,
think
I don't.
how many
I know.
fouls? How many fouls was it in that game? Did they have a lot of fouls in that
Well,
game?
they had 5 in the last 2 drives.
Five. Yeah. So
That
obviously, I
included
think that was.
so basically, just to put it into context, the Dolphins thought that they scored a touchdown to take the lead with 2 minutes left.
Mm.
Achan literally, I think he was 3 inches. He stepped out of bounds, and it was a matter of inches anyway. And
Mm.
even out of that timeout, because it took ages for the refs to look up at the review and stuff, they still took a delay of game penalty because
Yeah.
they had the wrong personnel, they had the wrong players on the pitch, and for me that is inexcusable. So
Mm.
yeah, I don't. I think people need to pump the brakes a little bit on the Patriots being good this season. I don't
Yeah.
see them winning a lot of games, if I'm honest with you, against quality offenses and defenses. Yeah, I was really not impressed by their wide receivers, especially.
Mm.
And then Pittsburgh are 1-1, aren't they? I
They're
think, or are they
1-1.
2-0?
There was a bit of a defensive mess there against the Seahawks with that
Yes,
one.
yes,
I don't know how to describe it. It was a kickoff from the Seahawks,
yes.
and whoever the player was dropped the ball. It went into the touchdown area,
He went into the end zone.
touchdown
Yeah,
zone, and he didn't move. He didn't do anything. So all the Seahawks special teams went for the ball, and it was a
touchdown.
touchdown. So
Yeah,
it was a defensive mess. So, but they're playing
I
in the Gillette Stadium,
I kind of
and
feel bad, Gito, because he was the returner. He was rookie as well.
yeah,
So it
yeah,
was just a classic rookie mistake.
yeah,
Because I'm not sure he fumbled the ball and he thought that he didn't touch it. If he didn't touch it, it would have been fine. But the fact that he did
mm,
touch it, which means the ball is live, and
yeah,
like you said, the Seahawks jumped on it in the end zone, touchdown.
yeah.
So
But
that's
it's the
7
way that he
points
just
there.
it's just the way he didn't run for the
Yeah,
ball as well.
exactly.
But if he didn't think he touched it, then that might be
Mm,
what it is. But watching it live, I was just so confused, and as everyone else was as well.
mm,
Nobody knew what was going on.
yeah,
That lost the game for them, unfortunately. It was all
mm,
downhill from there for them.
yeah.
But I do see Aaron Rodgers coming back. This is their last week before heading to Dublin next weekend.
Yeah.
So it'll be they'd want to go into Dublin 2-1 at least with a bit of confidence, and
Yeah.
I think they'll do it here against the Patriots, who could be an easy game. They are playing at the Gillette Stadium, but this could be one of those games for it's a game bit too difficult for the
Yeah.
Patriots, I think.
And obviously, like we mentioned earlier, it's going to be Carson Wentz instead of JJ McCarthy over in Dublin as well. So, that's going to be
Yes,
another factor as
yes.
well.
Mm.
Guitar, let's finish. So we've covered our 5 games of the week. Shall
Yeah.
we finish with who are the Falcons playing in week 3?
We are playing the Panthers, so it's a
Okay.
NFC South divisional matchup. I
Mm-hmm.
did mention we had a questionable player.
Yeah.
Kyle Pitts is questionable for the game, our tight
Okay.
end, which I'm a little bit nervous about. We don't have that amazing depth in tight end, so I'm hoping he will be fit and healthy for the game,
Mm.
or we just end up not using him in most of
Yeah.
the drives. So, but I'm confident going into this game. The Panthers, they haven't. I think they're one of the bottom 3 team in the league. They've not really turned up. How long are they going to do the same thing as last season? Drop Bryce Young, put another quarterback in there, and then have him back, or are they going to stick with him for the whole season? I don't know. But as a Falcons fan, I'm confident going into this game, as should every single Falcons fan going into this game. To be honest with you.
Especially with the way that your defense turned up against Minnesota and the way that the
Yeah.
Falcons are running the ball at the moment, I'd
Yeah.
be very, very confident going into Carolina. The only thing I'd say about the Panthers, Guitar, is I don't think that Bryce is the problem. I genuinely don't think that the
Mm.
quarterback is the problem at
Mm.
Carolina. I think it's a lack of quality on offense,
Yeah.
apart from Chuba Hubbard. And I did notice that McMillan, their rookie, Tetero McMillan, did have over 100 yards in his second game, I believe. But apart from him, Bryce has got no weapons whatsoever. And
Yeah.
the defense for the Panthers have been underwhelming at the moment. I think it's going to take them a while to kind of click. So I think this is going to be rather. Are you playing at home, Guitar, as well?
We're away for this one. We'll
Away
be in Panthers. We'll
still.
be in Carolina for this one.
I
Yeah.
still think with that ground game, I still think. I mean, there's the difference in terms of quality on both sides of the ball is
Yeah.
massively lopsided towards the Falcons for me. And
Mm.
you've got the better pieces, you've got the better running back, wide receiver, quarterback potentially as well, and your defense
Yeah.
absolutely balled out on Sunday at Minnesota. So, um, looking at after week 3, Guitar, say that the Falcons are 2-1. Looking at the beginning of the season, would you have been happy with that?
Yeah, I would have actually. Yeah. I don't think a lot of people predicted that we would have gone and beat the Bucks in the first game.
Mm,
So I would be happy. Obviously, I would have taken 2-1. We've got a very difficult game in week 4 we've got 3 tough games after
mm,
this one. So being 2-1 here would be happy days.
yeah.
And then we've got Commanders, the Bills, and then the 49ers
Oof.
our next
Okay.
few games. And then the Dolphins in week 8. So that will be an interesting one as well.
Well, I wouldn't worry too much about the 49ers because they're injured. Obviously Brock Purdy and George Kittle are going to be injured. So it's Mac
Yeah,
Jones at quarterback, even though
yeah,
somehow the San Francisco 49ers are 2-0, I believe. So they so
yeah,
they they won even with Mac Jones, and obviously no George Kittle is going to be massive for them. Obviously they've got a good running game with McCaffrey as well.
mm,
Um,
yeah.
but I wouldn't be as worried about the 49ers game. Okay, Bills is going to be very, very tricky. Who's the other one? Sorry.
Commanders.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, again,
Yeah.
though, Jaden Daniels is not going to be playing as well. So you never
He's
know,
injured as
Guitar.
well.
You
Yeah,
never
I
know. You could,
forgot
you
about
could,
Commanders.
you could be, you could be up to be 3 or 4 wins there.
Yeah,
You never
mm,
know.
yeah. It would be nice having a winning record going to the Dolphins game.
Yes. Well,
Yeah,
and then will we have made a coaching change by then? A lot of
exactly.
people,
Yeah,
95% of the league thinks yes. Only the hardcores Mike McDaniel fans would probably say no. But listen, I think with the Dolphins, the writing is on the wall. Even if we miraculously go into Buffalo and win tonight, maybe some people would say that we reset, that the season is still alive. And we still have to go and beat the Jets ultimately, and then we're going into the difficult part of our schedule as well. So we have to play the Falcons, the Commanders, and all other people as well. So yeah, I mean, that could be a layup game for you, Guitar. You never know, because the Dolphins could be 0-4, 0-5 by then. So you don't know. And then if it's going to be one of those seasons, it's going to be a very, very long season for me. So maybe I'll have to jump on the Falcons train, Guitar.
Well, that's the beauty of the sport that we love, though, in the NFL. Anything and everything can happen.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
We'll leave it at that, I think. But
exactly.
I wish you all the best tonight. I do wish you all the best tonight.
Thank
Drink
you.
plenty of coffee to keep you up. You might
I
need
will.
it. So
yes.
But no, I wish you all the best tonight. It's going to be difficult, but just try and embrace it.
Let's hope that I'm still watching the game in the third or the fourth quarter. That's all I'll say. And I haven't gone to bed before the end of the first half because it's a blowout. Because that would be the ultimate letdown for me, especially against the Bills. I mean, ultimately, we haven't won at Buffalo since 2016, so almost 10 years. And Josh Allen has never lost a Thursday night football game, Guitar. So the stacks, it's not really in our favour at the moment. But hey, like I said, I'm going to watch it. I'm going to remain optimistic. We'll see. Who knows? Tyreek went over 100 yards. Waddle had 80. Achan went over 100, and we still lost to the Patriots. But, ultimately, I think our defense is probably the worst defense in the league, and that is what's worrying me because we're coming up against one of the top 3 offenses at the moment in the NFL, and the Bills have scored, like I said, over 70 points over the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So we'll see, like I said. But anyway, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. We are all over the socials. Get us on Instagram at NFL Pod, X or Twitter, and this will be uploaded in the next 24 hours as well. On YouTube, look for NFL Cymru. And once again, thank you so much to Phil Marsh over at the Huddle UK podcast. They're also on YouTube and they have a website as well, if you haven't seen that episode that we did with them last week. We will be back recapping week 3, maybe this time next week. And who knows what the state of the Dolphins will be by then. And hopefully, like we said, the Falcons will be in a good place at 2-1. But like we said, thank you so much for watching. Diolch fawr iawn i chi gyd. Guitar, until next time, we'll see you then.